Um, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to introduce the panelists. And once again, I'd just like to thank everyone for coming. We have a good turnout, especially since it was the last minute. We know we're supposed to be at the MLK Library. Last minute, we switched on everyone, so we just thank all of you guys for coming out. So first and foremost, we have Kim Cargill from Common Roots Collective. It was a dispensary that actually was shut down, so she has a lot of knowledge and input about the topic we're going to speak in today. She's also a patient rights advocate, and she works with CSPARC. Next with her, we have our law enforcement representative, Mr. Tory Loomis. Did I pronounce that right? So he's our law enforcement representative, who's going to give us information from that side and from their point of view. We also have Mr. Jeff Hartley, who is the president of Sequoia Analytical Labs. So he has some great input for us as well. Next to him, we have Mr. Ron Mullen, who works with CSPARC as well. He's the manager of one of the local collectives. Next to him, we have Ms. Lynette Davies, who's the executive director of Crusader for Patient Rights. And last but not least, we have Mr. Chris Parker, who is attorney for Franchise Tag Board, So we're going to go ahead and ask our first question and get the ball rolling. And any students that are here that needs a sign-in sheet over here for extra credit, it's on this side.
Hi, I'm Lloyd Turner. I'm just a timer guy for this forum. You guys will be having 2 minutes to answer each question. As soon as you guys are asked the question, I'll start the timer. When it comes to 1 minute, you'll see me put my hand in the air with the 30 seconds, I'll do a C or, something, a C. I'll do a C. So just keep your eyes over here.
Okay, so our first question to Kim. Tell us about your personal experience with this topic. What do you see as the most important economic issues resulting from the medical marijuana dispensary closure?
My personal experience is I was the director of Common Roots Collective. It was a collective in Sacramento County. There was about 100 collectives in Sacramento County up until December when the last of them closed down. One huge economic impact was the fact that the collectives were recently opened in the last couple years, and each individual collective, number one, there was people who invested in the collectives. So to start up a new business cost about $100,000 to $200,000, depending on what you have to do. So there was, about 100 collectives times $100,000. A lot of money was completely lost on behalf of those patients who invested. There were many people who lost their jobs and even people who have lost their homes because of it. There is a variety of businesses that were used by the collectives that other people will answer this question in more detail, that were all affected. So the effects are wide-ranging, including local expenses to code enforcement that were spent on closing the collectives, whereas if they would have left them open and received taxes from them, they would have been making money. So.
Hi, my name is Tory Loomis, and I was a police officer, detective, and SWAT officer with the City of Scotts Valley for about 7 years. I also taught DARE in the schools. I have about 900 classes taught. I took an active role in enforcement of law enforcement activity in the City of Scotts Valley in regards to drug enforcement, working with drug enforcement agencies, task forces, as well as direct enforcement within the city, mainly having to do with juveniles. I was the juvenile detective. So that's where my personal experience comes from. The most important economic issue that I see regarding this specific issue is the loss of jobs to the community. I think that a lot of the dispensaries, whether you agreed with them or not, had employed a lot of people at fairly decent wages, according to the information that I read. And so the loss of that economic resource to the community, whether you agree with it or not, is fairly hard-hitting.
Hi, thanks for coming. Let's see, a little bit about my experiences. My laboratory tests cannabis for potency, pesticides, and other microbiological contaminants on it. So my clients are mostly the collectives and the other growers that do provide medicines to those collectives. And so that's my experience with them. The economic impact was, those are my clients, and when they were closed down by forced or voluntary by the county, there goes all my clients. And so 95% of my client base now is gone. So it was almost overnight in October when the federal crackdown happened. I had a viable business with a lot of samples coming in and being tested. And then almost overnight, everyone decided to just like fold up and say, nope, I'm not going to do it. Don't know where I'm going. So it definitely hit the supportive industry for the collectives pretty hard. And I'm one of those supportive people that did support the collectives.
Hello, my name is Ron Mullins. Aside from being a manager at a dispensary, I'm also friends with about 20 other people who run dispensaries. And we discuss this a lot, and we see the impact, and a lot of those people are not running dispensaries anymore. I believe that the current climate, the crackdown, the new canophobic policy, is hurting our overall burgeoning community of interest. The cannabis community, since I would say about 06 and then rapidly since 09, created its own community of interest that had its own specialized advertising. We had our testing companies. We are participating in the community. And when we get closed down, we lose that ability. For example, the advertising company, News and Review, lost 30% of their revenues and had to fire 5 people. And these were people who got new jobs because cannabis was being advertised. So to pick one thing would be hard. I won't list everything. I only have 2 minutes. But overall, as our community was growing, so were insurance companies. We had banks that were trying to help us under the radar of the FDIC, and giving us accounts, full well knowing we were selling marijuana, but just not putting it on paper. So all of these communities that are trying to come in and help the medical cannabis community are suffering, and that's just sweeping.
Hello, I'm Lynette Davies with Crusaders for Patients' Rights. I'm going to give us just a little different take on this whole thing, because I also have the oldest dispensing collective in the city of Sacramento right now. I run CannaCare, one of Ron's friends. To let you know, one of the things that we have an issue with has been our own fault and our community's fault, and some of the people that suffered in this economics. And that's the fact they have been unable to separate the difference between recreational use and medicinal use. Sacramento News and Review is a good example of it. They lost their 5 people, but there is absolutely nowhere I spoke. I speak at the statewide level at every assembly and state hearing, and it has to do with medical cannabis. There isn't anywhere I spoke that they didn't pull out a Sacramento News and Review and show a naked woman saying, "Oh, come get your medical cannabis here." Guess what? That's not medical. People of the state of California brought in Proposition 215 to provide medical use of cannabis. It was not a free-for-all. So the biggest economic issues we have brought on ourselves. If you're going to have collectives and dispensaries and labs and advertising, it needs to have rules and regulations that reflect what the law was intended to do, and it has to reflect what the will of the people is. So you have to take a look also that we were the #1. We were the first state to implement medical cannabis, period. And one of the things I did different is when speaking, if you say the word marijuana, you have just closed so many doors. We work on cannabis issues. So I just got the axe. So I can talk forever, guys. And for you communication majors, I am going to show you how it's done. And when you see the guy giving, just turn your face and just keep on going. If you still got more to say, because you'll find out you can still do this. But I have so much to pass on, very little time to do it for you. But I hope that even after this is over, you ask questions, you can be a part so that you know these answers. Thank you.
I'll try and be brief because I know we've got a lot of other questions to get onto. My name is Chris Parker. I am an attorney for the Franchise Tax Board. In that, I have to give a disclaimer. I'm here on my own time and on my own behalf. The opinions I express are my own and are not issued in my official capacity, so please do not attribute anything I say to the state of California. In that, I have worked on a number of tax issues related to medical cannabis, and some of the difficulty we have in that it is illegal at the federal level, and yet we're allowing it at the state level. For the collectives, that created some very curious tax questions. From a greater economic perspective, we have, and I think you've heard some of that exhibited in the answers of the other panelists, you have issues at the city, county, and state level that are unique at each level. Impact of closures at each of those levels has created a ripple effect up and down the economic ladder. And I think we'll dig into that a little bit more with question 2, in particular in question 3. But understand that it is not an isolated level thing. It is not just at a city level. It's not just at a county level. It's not just at a state level. There are ladders that have implications all the way up and down.
Thank you.